Nicholas, I think it's fair to say that our lives have been fairly well turned upside down with the COVID-19 pandemic, and it has big implications for our mental well-being and the challenges and confusion that are continuing.
I think you're absolutely right. And one of the things that's true about this particular virus and the way that we as a society have had to respond to this virus is that it's changed the way that we relate to each other. It's changed the way that we would normally travel to work or not travel to work. And it's meant that we've had to rethink so many aspects of our lives. Everybody in the world has been impacted and affected by this virus.
I've heard people say that we're in the storm together, but we're not in the same boat. That is, some people are severely impacted, they may have lost their jobs, others are in isolation, teaching kids from home. There's a whole range of impacts.
I think that's a great analogy, and being in a different boat means that your different experiences and different ways of knowing and understanding the way this virus has played out in your life, they need to be understood. And what we try to do and encourage as far as possible is conversations around that. Because what we want to try and encourage as much as we can is for people to live a life with meaning and a life that is a flourishing life. And this virus has taken that away from us. It's sort of hijacked the things that humans do really well. Humans love to embrace each other. They love to touch each other. They love to be in close contact with each other. And the virus has taken over and become opportunistic about those very things that humans do very, very well. So for many people, it's meant they've not been able to see a loved one in a residential care facility. They've not been able to hold a newborn baby. They've not been able to attend the funeral passing of someone that was special in their life. And through all of that, there's been a number of other adjustments in terms of their working life and their personal finances. Children have been home from school and schooled at home. There's been more competition for internet access and computer access. The way that we line up to go to the shops to buy our shopping. All of these things have changed. So it's been a huge adjustment for a good many people.
So Nicholas, in terms of the good that's come out of COVID-19, what would you like us to take forward in a post-COVID world? What shouldn't we leave behind?
I've really been struck by the stories of many people across Australia who are discovering things about themselves and their relationships with others that have brought them a sense of well-being and I guess emotional nourishment. And I'm thinking about lifting the telephone and talking to their mother more frequently than what they had done prior to COVID-19, talking to their neighbours, asking about how their co-workers were going and the coming together of co-workers in a workplace situation. We've also seen the very best of people in health and human services and community services, in community strength and well-being. And if we begin to think about all of what has happened in our lives, which has been difficult, we need to counterbalance that with these great things that we've discovered in ourselves. These great things that I've just mentioned about connection with family, taking time to self-care. For some people, they've taken a greater emphasis, if you like, or a greater interest in their exercise and their own well-being as well. And if we want to begin to think about all of these things and maybe what we could take into a post-COVID-19 world, you know, maybe for some we're going to be living a more flourishing life. And as human beings, we're wired up to live a flourishing life, where we come into this world wired up for connection and human connection and to live a flourishing life. So those things, taken in combination with each other, could be extremely important in a post-COVID-19 world. There's a body of thinking around transition and change which suggests that planning your day, planning the event, planning for the event as much as possible, having open discussion about, for example, if it's a football game and you're heading off to the football game, the transport arrangements, And just thinking through, making plans and thinking through how you want that to go can be a very helpful way of reducing that tension and angst. And we know from many other examples where there is transition in society that people, even within the same family, will be in different places about that. So not everybody in the family will be perhaps feeling as comfortable as perhaps someone else in the extended family about life after COVID-19. So talking through what is the ideal scenario, what is right for people and how that's going to work, whether people travel separately by transport, in private car or public transport, the timing of that, the seating arrangements, how people would like it to happen. If we see that as sort of something of a metaphor for making plans, I think that can be a very helpful strategy to consider. And then there may be situations in social life, on transport, in the community, in shops, in cafes or restaurants, where someone is not observing a physical distancing regulation for that particular environment. And I like to think of that as something that can be very triggering for some people. It can trigger fear and emotion and can bring back some of the memories at the very beginning of COVID-19 where those fears and emotions were quite extreme and intense for some people. So find within yourself and think within yourself, what are you going to do if that happens? It's a bit like sometimes we're driving our car and somebody acts in a way on the road or cuts in front of us, and it's a real shock, and it can be very frightening and fear-inducing when these things happen. The best advice is to pull back. The best advice is to not escalate the situation. Be patient with yourself. And if it means that you slow your journey in the vehicle, or if it means that you slow your position in the queue in a cafe while you're waiting for a coffee, maybe that's a good way of handling that. Maybe that's a way of de-escalating a situation, and maybe that can be an effective way of not creating something new and more stressful in what is, for some people, a potentially stressful time. I think today's conversation has brought us to the core of really what I want to say to the people of South Australia, and that is to go gently. Go gently as you come out of COVID-19. And going gently is about reconnecting with your community, people that are important in your life. Going gently is also about making sure that you take time for self-care. Going gently is about giving people that may need extra support and help to find their feet, so to speak, again, in a post-COVID-19 world. And all of those things can be done through time and through conscious connection with what can be accomplished.